That's the thing, Kiki, right there is that ability. And it took me a week or two to figure out two things can be possible at once.
Yeah.
You can see the lovely way this is together. This is holding on to our values and our mission, and people are supporting each other. And you can feel the grief and the loss. They're not exclusive of each other, and they don't diminish each other. That's the thing that took me a minute to realize. That's advice I would give to anyone who goes through this, is don't fight the good things that happen as ways of feeling like it diminishes someone's legacy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a paradox. Two things at the same time can be true and can exist together, and it's uncomfortable.
This is Associations Thrive, the podcast celebrating successful associations and their leaders. I'm your host, Joanna Pineda, CEO and Chief Troublemaker at Matrix Group International. Normally, I interview an association or nonprofit CEO or executive director about their personal journey and the things that their organization is doing differently to thrive. Today's episode is a little different. I'm back with fellow podcasters Dave Coriale and KiKi L'Italienne. Dave is president of DelCor Technology Solutions and host of the Reboot IT podcast. KiKi is executive vice president of marketing and community engagement at Big Red M, editor-in-chief for Association Chat, and host of the Association Chat podcast. I can't wait to discuss what they're hearing from their podcasts and how they're navigating these crazy times. Dave and KiKi, welcome back to Associations Thrive. It's been too long.
It has been. I think we've established that now you're going to have to make it up to us, Joanna. I don't understand, why has it taken so long for this to happen again?
You know what? Totally my fault. We will book another time as soon as we end this recording.
Love you. I love you. I'm just kidding.
Well, before we start our discussion, let's check in. KiKi, what's new with you?
There's a lot happening. We're working on the latest edition of the magazine. Association Chat, has a magazine now. Big deal. It's a big deal.
Love it.
Very exciting. Trying some new things in this one. And so gearing up. So it'll be available at ASAE Annual. But I got this news that's really exciting. I'm winning this award, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys. It so surprised me. So here's the context. ASAE, it's an individual honor, one of the highest individual honors you can get. And it's the Academy of Leaders Award. And I will be receiving that at ASAE Annual in LA. And I'm very, very excited. But I got to tell you, I thought I was going to just drop dead when I found out that I was receiving it. I got nominated and I almost didn't bother to even fill out the application because I thought I'm not checking all those little boxes that I imagine that everybody expects you to check. I don't have my CAE, things like that. So that's some interesting news because it's led me to start thinking about, oh my gosh, first of all, yay, they can't take it back, can they? And then the other thing is wait, that's pretty amazing. Does that change what happens next? What does that do? So it's put me in a weird mind space.
I cannot wait to see you get that award at Annual. That is so awesome.
Oh my God, Dave, I'm so excited.
I'm going to be in the front row.
Absolutely. And we'll be cheering the loudest.
I hope you do. I just can't believe it. Can you believe it, you guys?
I can believe it. It is an honor. Yeah.
I can totally believe it. My God, congratulations. Huge contributions to the profession and to the industry, KiKi.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know that sounds so trite to say, but it really does mean so much to me that I cried when I found out. I started shaking. I'm still kind of blown away by it.
That's so awesome.
Dave, how about you? What's going on?
Well, I have never received an award in my entire career, and I'm not bitter about it.
I can't believe that.
It's true.
I was saying that until it happened. So your time is coming. It's next.
KiKi will work on this for next year.
Yes.
All right.
My evil plans. Yes.
No, I'm not an awardee. But What's new with me is getting into the new normal, so to speak. As you know, we lost Loretta in the beginning of April, my business partner for 37 plus years. And so the team, which is an awesome, awesome team, feeling what we feel from a grief and loss perspective, while honoring her legacy and fulfilling our mission, living our values, continually defining our product, services, and business objectives. It's new. I mean, you ask what's new? That's a new feeling for me. It's a new experience. It's a new way of everything. Fortunately, this team has some extremely long-term, tenured, awesome people, as well as some newer people on the leadership team and the management team that are just crushing it with what this feels like and how to, like I said, that weird feeling of being okay and moving forward and honoring the legacy while experiencing the feeling of not having Loretta there the way we did. It's what it is. It's what's new, though.
Yeah. Dave, in the future, when this isn't so raw, maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, how do you navigate the future when your longtime partner is gone? And how do you keep the organization going and honoring her legacy? But it sounds like you're navigating it really well and staying true to your values.
Yeah. I mean, that's the answer is we had a mission. We have a mission. It's not changing. We had values and we have the same values. They're not changing. We have 100 people in the company. So 100 people are doing what they did and will continue to do it. And we're going to just keep living that experience we've had all along, which is how do we make this a little better, incrementally better each time we do it?
I just want to say, I think it's been admirable and pretty amazing to see the way that the DelCor team has continued to show up and support each other, but also, you know, I ran into Gretchen, I ran into Tobin, different people out at things like MMC and Tech. And I have to say, very clearly, the company is strong and moving together, unified. Everybody seems to be strong and supportive and moving on in such a confident manner. And yet, at the same time, recognizing and acknowledging the fact that there's been this significant loss because Loretta was such a part, obviously, of DelCor and DelCor's heart. You know, we work with associations, and when you work with associations, it's all about people, and there's a heavy relationship focus.
That's the thing, KiKi, right there is that ability. And it took me a week or two to figure out two things can be possible at once.
Yeah.
You can see the lovely way this is together. This is holding on to our values and our mission, and people are supporting each other. And you can feel the grief and the loss. They're not exclusive of each other and they don't diminish each other. That's the thing that took me a minute to realize. That's advice I would give to anyone who goes through this is don't fight the good things that happen as ways of feeling like it diminishes someone's legacy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a paradox. Two things at the same time can be true and can exist together, and it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
And we don't like uncomfortable things, but this is the reality, right?
Dave, this is a built to last moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that by staying true to your values, by honoring the original mission, by honoring Loretta's legacy, but also by sticking together, you're probably stronger as a result too, because this is a big challenge that you're overcoming. And from what I've heard, you guys are tight and you're not skipping a beat. So amazing.
I'll tell you one quick thing. I had a 6-month check-in with a new team member today. He's been there 6 months. First thing he said was, I've worked for a lot of companies. One of your values is I've got your back. I can't believe how much I've experienced that since I've been here in the first 6 months, because so many values are just words on a wall.
Right.
Just so you know, I prefaced with, listen, I know you don't know me well. We've been together 6 months. You can tell me anything. If you don't tell me what you're really thinking, I'm not going to be able to do anything about anything. or I'm not going to be able to amplify the good or diminish the bad. So you got to just be straight up with me. And that was the first thing. So it made me feel so good that our culture has that I've got your back feeling for someone who's been there 6 months. To your point, you just said, hold on to your values, live your values 100%.
Yeah.
What about you, Joanna? I mean, like, what have you been up to? I mean, this is the Collabicast.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the thing that's kind of new and big with me is the book I'm working on.
Ooh, yes.
And I don't really have a good working title yet, but it's going to be a book that talks about how associations helped America overcome the pandemic. And my goal is that by the end of 2025, I will have 25 chapters that talk about 25 associations that did something amazing during the pandemic. The book was actually inspired by a bunch of my podcast interviews. I started hearing about what these associations did during the pandemic. And what struck me was that these stories haven't been told and they haven't been celebrated. And I thought, gosh, who's going to tell these stories? And then I thought, maybe it should be me. So that's what I'm doing. I have 11 interviews done. I have 1 chapter written. I'm actually looking for other associations to interview. And I want to tell the stories. And I think that we are so grateful to the healthcare workers for what they did. But when you hear about what they did at the American Counseling Association to train up counselors so that they could do sessions over Zoom, or when you hear about how the School Nutrition Association worked with the FDA early to pass waivers so that school lunch could be served outside of school buildings, because that's illegal to serve school lunch outside of buildings. So, and on and on and on. And so I'm excited to tell the story, but also I'm excited to kind of be part of the messaging that says associations really matter and they do a lot of good. And here are some great examples. So that's what I'm working on.
This is what I love about you, is that you are so good at, like, this is the thing I'm going to go after. And then you really do always get it. You go after and you do it. For example, when you got your black belt,
My black belt, yeah.
this amazing black belt, you go after this thing and you proceed to just knock all barriers out of your way and achieve it. And I just love that you do. It's so fun to watch you. It is so fun to watch you live your life, Joanna.
Well, thank you very much. You know, my husband would say, I kind of go on these tangents and I do them for a while and then I move on to something else. But the martial arts I'm still doing. The book is new. And I just have to tell you a funny story. I got invited to be on a board and I mentioned it casually to my husband and he said, no. He said, maybe next year you're supposed to be focusing on the book. You guys know that I have a word every year. Last year, my word was velocity, but this year I actually have 3 words. And my 3 words are no 0 days.
Ooh.
What it means is every single day, I do something related to health. I do something related to my language training. I do something for the podcast and I do something for the book. And so no 0 days is on my window.
That's so cool.
And it kind of just keeps me going. And then, you know, at the end of the day, I'll think, okay, no 0 days. Ooh, I got to do something for the book because here it is. It's June. I got to get cracking. And no 0 days just helps me. Kiki, I have a 2,100 day streak on Duolingo.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And some days it's just 5 minutes, but it just brings me a lot of joy.
That's awesome.
So speaking of joy, I got to ask, Dave, what's bringing you joy these days?
Oh boy. My dog.
Yeah, of course.
One of my daughters got married in April. That was probably one of the most joyous days I've ever had, where I tell you, one of the crystallizing moments was walking her down the aisle. We were just looking at each other, laughing and having the best time. I wish it was a mile-long aisle. That was so fun.
Aww.
So it's where you find joy generally, right? Family. I was sharing with you before we started recording that I took calls from a park today, sitting on a bench, and I kind of mentally recognized this is a really joyous way to be spending my time on this call as opposed to sitting staring at a wall. It's all those pieces. And the last thing I'll say, which bringing me joy, is the way this DelCorian team is together. It's really joyful. Back to that dichotomy. It brings you joy when things could be so sideways and they're not because of the people you're surrounded by.
And I love that you're recognizing that joy, because it would be easy to take the call from your office or your house, or even take the call outside, but not recognize that what a lovely thing to be taking a call outside on a beautiful summer day, sitting on a park bench and it's perfect weather.
Yeah.
KiKi, what's bringing you joy?
So I think that I have this funky hang up with the word joy, because that seems like it's a lot. Like when I think of joy, I'm like, whoa, joy, it's so big.
Downsize it.
Yeah. So I can tell you, I have this practice of looking for beauty. And so being appreciative of the things that show up as beauty in my life, which can be my dog, my dog looking at me with her fuzzy face and being cute, or a leaf, or I have really great wallpaper and I really like it, takes my breath away sometimes. And so that kind of stuff. And I think that what's really been showing up as very beautiful to me lately is watching every moment with my daughter, because she's about to go to Milan to study abroad for 6 months. She's about to go into her senior year of high school as well. So as she studies abroad for a semester, this is also like a precursor to the empty nest situation that I'm going to be going through soon. It's like practice.
Oh boy.
Like we go and get coffee together every Friday morning before she goes to school. And there definitely have been moments where maybe we've gone and I've been like, oh, I can't wait to get back to the house after, she goes to school. I'll go back to the house and like get started on stuff I have to do. And right now I'm just observing, trying to be present in every single moment, because I know that she's not going to be in the house, and you just want to like notice the way that a person holds their cup or looks out the window, or like little things.
I hear you. So my older son is going to be a senior in college, and he's not home this summer. I was counting on one more summer, and he said, Mom, I'm staying in Richmond. But he was home for a week, and he gave me a wonderful week, and I just cherished it. And he had a wonderful week with his brother. And so I hear you. You got to cherish those moments, and you can't be too wistful because you want them to be independent.
Oh, yeah.
But, I fight that sometimes, right? I'm like, oh my God, I thought I had one more summer.
Yeah.
But on the one hand, he's doing great. The younger son, some days he talks to me, and the thing we do that actually brings both of us a lot of joy is we listen to podcasts together and we watch movies together.
Oh.
And so I'm just grateful that we found something to do together, because we used to do the martial arts together. Then he left. He's now climbing. I'm still doing martial arts. And so we kind of fell out of having something to do together. And now it's the podcast and it's the shows. And I'll tell you, so we finished Andor season 2, and he said, Mom, maybe we should watch Rogue One, right? Because Andor season 2 basically ends right where Rogue One starts. And then he was like, well, should we keep going? So I think tonight we're going to watch The Empire Strikes Back, because we did Rogue One, then episode 4. He's seen all these movies, but now we're going to see them in a different order. So
yeah,
that's bringing me joy.
I love that. I love that. That's such a great thing.
Hey, let's turn to the podcasts.
Ooh, haha.
One thing that my team asks me pretty regularly is, what themes are bubbling up from your podcasts? And, it's funny, I do a podcast every single week, but when they ask me that question, it forces me to kind of step back and say, oh, are there things that are bubbling up? So, KiKi, I'm curious, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What common themes are there?
May I tell you, no surprise. Change is a great big theme that keeps showing up, because obviously with everything that's going on with our government and the politics in the United States, that keeps hitting the association, well, hitting everybody, right? Like in different ways, impacting everyone, and associations are no different. So obviously, even if it's not meant to be the theme, that ends up becoming the theme by the end of the conversation. And then technology. It can be in the form of discussions that end up having to do with AI or something like that. A lot of discussions that end up in that AI realm. But I'd say change is really the number one thing. And people feeling like a change in the way that they have relationships with their members, or changes with the way that they're making decisions internally, changes with the way that they're using their technology, but just lots of change.
Are the associations embracing the change? Are they nervous about it? Like, how are they reacting?
All of that. I mean, I think they're embracing it when they feel like it's something that they know that they need and they see it as an answer. They're nervous about it because, of course, us speaking here, Dave and Joanna, a lot of associations that we end up working with, folks have gone through some bad tech choices in the past. And so they're always a little nervous, maybe. And the way that members are reacting to using AI in different ways, that's also impacting things. It's just different types of discussions. I actually came across a story the other day in the news about an association that had made decisions about the programming material that they were going to have at their conference. And they had used AI to make determinations about what would be offered and who would be providing that information there. And when that was released into the ether, when people understood or heard about the way that this was done, it was a huge uproar and backlash from that. And so it's stuff like that where I think that that's leading to some interesting stories and people, just figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And I think ultimately it comes down to how people are dealing with trust.
Yeah, yeah. Dave, how about you? What are you hearing?
You use the word in there, KiKi, relationships. And that seems to be what I talk to most people about recently, is especially as it relates to the way IT's relationship has changed within an organization to A, the structure of the organization, and B, the other leaders in the organization. So the head of IT no longer being an order taker, but being a business partner is a shift that we've seen the more mature associations make. So instead of tell me what you want, I'll buy it or build it, tell me what you're trying to accomplish. Let me help you finalize the vision of that with things I know about tech that you might not know. Then we'll figure out the how once we figure out the what together. I feel like that's been the most common conversation I've had recently, because that's a shift, and it feels like to what were normally the business owners, marketing, membership, accreditation, whatever it is, the foundation, what was normally their business, now they have a quote unquote business partner getting in their business. Like, what are your membership rules? What's this? What's that? What's marketing? How are we trying to promote? What are we doing? What's your goal here? Well, wait a minute. Why are you so in my business? I just told you I need a marketing automation platform or whatever, and I can give you the requirements. I know, but there's more to it. That there's security, there's automation, there's integration, there's scalability. Those are all things that we want to own, but we also know things that we can integrate or take advantage of in terms of automation or AI that we want you to be aware of too before you make any decisions on what your final vision looks like. So I feel like that's a lot of the conversation right now.
I'll tell you, my podcast recently, 3 things have bubbled up. The first theme is a common one, and that is, it has to do with governance. When an organization's chief staff exec is doing well and has a good relationship with the board, they're thriving. But when they don't, they're not. And so that's bubbled up a couple times. I also have had, interestingly enough, a string of nonprofit CEOs that are, by definition, DEI organizations. And so they're kind of facing an existential crisis.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do when we're devoted to helping Latino educators advance? What do we do when we are devoted to teaching leadership to Asian Americans? And so part of it is, how do you navigate this landscape and continue and persevere? And then the third thing that's bubbled up is, what does leadership look like in this age? And I'm going to call out an episode where I interviewed Tori Miller-Liu from AIM, the Association for Intelligent Information Management. She talked about how when she first became CEO, there was kind of a turnaround that needed to happen at AIM, but she also took the helm of the organization a month before ChatGPT went viral. So can you imagine a tech association, ChatGPT has gone viral, and she's got to do a turnaround. So she said it's been 2.5 really crazy and intense years, but now the organization is doing well and membership is up, and they're just coming off a big conference. And what she said was, I'm thinking about the kind of leader I need to be in this new environment. And it was such a good interview because she was so intentional and thoughtful about realizing that she's got to have a different mindset and a different set of skills to operate in this environment. So fantastic episode. I have so many, but this one is kind of on my mind.
Yeah. You did that one recently, right?
Yeah. It just dropped this week when we're recording.
Wow.
KiKi, is there an episode that you want to call out?
Yes. And it's also a fairly recent one, but I really feel like I hit the jackpot. You know, you don't get if you don't ask. And Charles Vogel.
Oh, yes.
Charles Vogel wrote The Art of Community, 7 Principles for Belonging. So, and he's written several books, but that's the one that I was familiar with. And he just, I shouldn't say re-released it. It was updated. It had 25% new content and all this stuff. But I thought, well, maybe he'll want to come on the show. And he did. And oh my gosh, it was so good. And I mean, I love it because it didn't even matter that I was there. He was so brilliant. He was really great, very nice person. And
what are a couple of key takeaways from the interview?
Well, because he talks about these principles for belonging that come from ancient wisdom, right? One of them was talking about his own anecdotes about bringing meaning into gatherings, even in the home. And so he talked about having these dinners. And I never thought about it this way. He talked about how it's so important that we've gathered around fire. We've made light and stuff such an important part of campfires, all of these things, when you think throughout the history of time. And when you have a meaningful dinner and you bring people together, there's candles, you light candles in the middle and stuff. And he talked about at conferences, what do we have in the middle? It's everybody's phones. What is that saying? It's diminishing the togetherness, because instead of it bringing us together, it's these phones that are lit up there, and we're sacrificing our attention and our connection with each other to these devices, you know? And another thing about the light in the middle of these tables, he shared how they have these dinners and they were getting together with some friends, and one of their friends had their daughter who was 12 years old and had just, you know, she'd done some sort of musical concert or something and was really important to her. And so he brought out a special candle and put it in the middle and lit the candle to add meaning to the moment and said, would you like to share with us a story about what you learned in this moment or something? And he said, how many times do you think that a 12-year-old gets a chance to share this meaningful moment with a group of adults? And it just gave me chills sharing that story, because I took a lot from that, and just thinking about the way that we can bring reverence and ritual into our exchanges with other people, whether it's at a conference table or at our own dining table. So just really great conversation with him.
Wow. We'll put a link in the show notes to both of these episodes. Dave, how about you? Is there an episode that you want to call out?
I guest hosted Associations Now yesterday. I'm not sure when it will drop, but it was around verified credentialing, which built on the episodes I did with Juan and Hannah from Intelios. And it was Credivera and a risk. Oh, he's the host of Caffeinated Risk podcast, which now I have to go look up because it sounded so cool. But it was both exciting and frightening what we talked about. So that was my most recent.
You going to tell us about what's so frightening?
Yeah. Ooh.
You can't tease it like that.
Well, it's one of those things, like I've got my series of Dave gets worked up about, right? And one of the things I do get worked up about is when I call somebody. My dad passed away last August, so we've been dealing with things, right? If you've been through this, you deal with banks and insurance companies, electric companies, and so on. You call them and you say, hey, listen, my dad passed away. I'm helping my mom change names on the account, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, who is this? Well, this is Dave Coriale's son. Oh, well, I'm sorry your dad passed away, but I can't talk to you. Your dad should have called and put it in your mom's name or whatever and I'm like, okay, you call back and I say, hey, this is Anthony Coriale. I'm calling because I want to change the name of the account to my wife, Patricia Coriale. Oh, okay.
Amazing.
And I'm like, all right. And that's the world we live in. How many times does that happen? All the time where they're like, I call and had the same thing with another company that wasn't even like a financial institution or an insurance company or anything. There was no privacy issues. And because I was on the phone with my mom, they wouldn't talk to her. Anyway, I do get worked up about this. So this whole thing of verified credentials solves a lot of these problems at this micro level of people being who they say they are is one thing, but people having the credentials they say they really have is another. There's a CAE after my name. Am I really a CAE or did I just add that to my Zoom display? You don't know.
Right.
But the Canadian CAEs go through this verified credential. So when they have CAE, they have that little shield next to their CAE on their name because it's been verified and it's an up-to-date, up to the minute verified credential. So that's exciting as we talk through North Koreans applying for jobs and pretending they live in Cincinnati, Ohio, when they really don't. It's not real easy to verify where somebody lives when they have a bunch of fake data.
Right.
As well as people saying they're professionals in the medical industry, for example, and they have a drug enforcement administration number and can prescribe controlled substances. You know what you have to go through to verify somebody's DEA number as opposed to it being verified in real time all the time. So that was exciting, but it's also was scary of how much we just live in a world of trust. I trust.
Wow.
Or lack of trust. Like nobody trusts.
Well, but that's what that's. I mean, I call up, I say, I'm Anthony Coriale. They do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Social engineering. It wasn't even that hard.
No one even asks. And, in the few times, what's the last four of your social?
Easily gotten.
How hard is that, right? How many times has that been hacked out of 1 million databases?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's your birthday? Oh, there's some top secret information.
Right. What's your address?
Yeah.
What gets me is when they say, what's your mother's maiden name?
Right.
I mean, women don't change their names a lot these days. I haven't. So everybody knows my maiden name. So when that becomes a security question for my sons, it's not going to be hard to get.
Yeah. That was an exciting episode.
It probably won't be out when this publishes, but when it publishes, I'll go back and link to it.
And you will because you're Joanna.
I absolutely will because I'm Joanna, and I will put a little tickler. Let me go back to something that I talked about, which is this challenge of leadership. Is there something that you would say to execs today in the way of advice, given the climate, based on some of these interviews that you've done? Like, what's one thing that you think, wow, here's one thing that I learned that I would pass on?
Back to what I said as far as relationships go, or the relationship between IT and the rest of the organization, I would say to all execs, for those of you who still think of technology as simply a tool, because everyone says that all the time, technology is just a tool. Yeah, okay. I guess at the root level it is. It's an enabler tool though, but I feel like we got to get past that. It's just the thing that allows you to get to where you want to go because it's the thing that can help shape your vision. If you just think of it as a tool, like the hammer puts the nail in, but really your vision is about adhering two things together. Well, maybe glue technology is better than the nail and hammer technology. So you got to think about it from the goal as opposed to the tool. I would advise association execs to truly partner with IT leadership when setting visions and goals as opposed to bringing them in after, which we still hear about all the time.
Yeah.
I would say, and this isn't a surprise because I love this topic, but I would actually say that more now than before, this idea of purposefully understanding, cultivating, and identifying ways to demonstrate trust in your relationships so important. And the reason why is because we can't trust hardly anything around us anymore. There's like, you can't trust the institutions that have existed forever. You can't trust that the department that's been there forever is going to still be there. You can't trust the videos you see. You can't trust what you hear. You can't trust the media because they're going to create a book list of books that don't exist. There's this crisis of trust. It's beyond even with COVID where there's uncertainty. There's this idea that you can't trust what's around you, which is very scary. And I think that if I could talk to any person, especially executives, I would say protect and safeguard the trust that people have in you, especially your membership, right now more than ever before. And that means how you protect their data. That means how seriously you take the communication you have with them. That means be in alignment with when you say or present something, it goes all the way to marketing. This discussion that we were having before we got started here about an alignment of a company name and how it's presented and all of this stuff. All of that stuff matters even more now because there is such a discord between what we're seeing in the world around us and what's supposed to be the truth, that I think that safeguarding that trust is paramount to succeeding. And I think that it's so easy to lose it now. And we're not taught anywhere on how to cultivate it and build it on purpose, that it's really important to learn about it so you can demonstrate it purposefully in relationships and when you're representing an organization.
Well, I'm going to cheat and say two things, and I'm the host, so I get to do that. The first thing I would say is I'm thinking hard about how associations can maybe be the place where people who have differing opinions can still be together and find agreement. Because I think for the most part, associations are still trusted organizations or trusted bodies. And I think there's a way for associations to maybe do some healing in this country. The second thing that I would say, Dave, related to what you just said, I did a blog post recently about how every association CEO must be a tech CEO. Because you're right, tech isn't just a tool. Tech enables you, tech constrains you, or tech really powers your organization. And when the CEO is interested in the tech and asks questions and is knowledgeable enough to be part of the conversation, those organizations thrive based on my experience. So I think that they shouldn't leave it to their CIO or their CTO. I think they need to be partners in the tech journey, especially the AI journey. I was actually in a meeting where we're talking about something and somebody said, well, should we wait a few years to see how this all pans out? And I thought, no, you should not be waiting a few years to start delving into, or exploring AI. No, you should be doing it now. Good grief. Get that out of your brain. And that's where a tech CEO will say, even if we don't embrace it right now, we need to be experimenting. All right, I'm going to ask you guys one question before we go. What are you listening to or watching or reading?
Oh, God.
That would be fun to share. And I'll start. I'm watching a K-drama. You guys know about me and K-dramas?
It's another one of your podcasts.
It is, right. So I'm watching a show called When Life Gives You Tangerines, and it is fantastic. 16 episodes on Netflix, multi-generational, amazing acting, amazing music, and amazing storytelling. When Life Gives You Tangerines. Dave, how about you?
I'll answer both because the watching part is kind of junk food for the mind. I got hooked on this show Traders that is a franchise, and there's one in New Zealand, Australia. There's an American cast that takes place in Scotland, as well as a British cast that takes place in Scotland. And there's a Canadian one and an Irish one being filmed right now. It's a game similar to Survivor and the rest of those reality TV show game. And it's just fun to watch for me.
And you're watching all the versions?
Yeah, I had to use a VPN to watch the Canadian version because you can't watch it in the US. So I found a way to watch it And now I'm out. I'm done. I don't have any more episodes left. I've watched every episode of Traitors in every country, and my wife and I would watch it.
And Dave, what platform are you watching this on?
It depends on which country you're in. Some are on Netflix, some are on CTV, Canadian TV, some were on Peacock.
Man, okay, that's commitment.
It was commitment. And that's why I got to balance it out. I'm reading a book, The Wager. It's kind of one of those historical fictions, 1720s, a British fleet going after to intercept a Spanish fleet armada, all based on journals and newspaper articles and diaries. And I love this type of thing. If you see it's in quotes or whatever, you know it came from an actual source. The crew gets shipwrecked off the coast of Patagonia and has to make their way back to Brazil through the Strait of Magellan on basically a longboat. I love this kind of book, and I'm down to like the last 20 pages, and I'm so bummed because when you know how it is, you love a book and you're like, crap, is the next one going to be this good?
Yeah.
Because this is just, I love it. So those are my two right now.
Thank you for those recommendations. KiKi, what about you? What are you reading or watching or listening to?
Oh my gosh. So, of course, I'm spending time with my daughter, and she has me watching this thing called Love Island. And it is so terrible, but great, but terrible. It's really bad. It's so bad. Dave said junk food for the mind. I'm saying this is like worse than junk food. This is like actively detrimental beyond all belief. Like as I'm watching it, I'm thinking this is actively making me
It's lowering your IQ.
less of a person. It's like lowering my IQ.
It's not true.
I come away from it and I'm just thinking, wow, this is bad for me, but it's so good. By the end of the first episode, I'm like, I could tell that that couple really liked each other. As soon as he walked on, I could just see it. I could see that they really liked each other. It's dumb. It's so dumb.
Well, KiKi, worlds colliding because on Traitors, the casts are mostly from other reality TV shows, Survivor, Big Brother, Summer House, Love Island. So there's been people from Love Island on Traitors, and those are the most entertaining. Like they also have some versions, like the British version, where it's just normal people, an electrician, a lawyer or whatever. The reality people know how to entertain you. And so I know some Love Island characters from that show. That's interesting.
It's fantastic. I guess I know what show I'm going to go into once I run through Love Island. But yeah, I'd never watched it. Started watching it with her. And I'm telling you, at first I thought there's no way I'm going to stick it out. And now I'm hooked. I'm like, when does the next one come out? It's like the new season. I'm like, it's every Wednesday, I can tell you. I'm like, I can't wait. So yeah.
It's okay. We need escapes.
Yeah.
KiKi, when you're done with Love Island, I got a show for you. It is a Korean version of like The Bachelor or whatever. It's called Singles Inferno.
Oh my God.
And these are some of the most beautiful people you've ever seen. It's on Netflix and you hate yourself watching it. I watched half dozen episodes of the first season, but the commentators are hilarious. And they're some of the most beautiful people you've ever seen. So, when you're done with Love Island, watch Singles Inferno and hate me.
No, Traitors. Watch Traitors.
Okay, Traitors. When you're done with that, Dave, you can watch Singles Inferno.
And each country has a different host. The best host is Alan Cummings. I don't know if you recognize that name. You've seen him in a million things.
Oh, I love Alan Cummings.
He's the host of the US version that takes place in Scotland. He hosts it, and it is fantastic. I'm telling you, he is the best host.
All right. Well, we got some recommendations. Dave and KiKi, this has been thoughtful and meaningful and fun. Let's do it again.
Yes.
Love talking to you all.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Associations Thrive. We're so glad to have you here. My personal mission and the mission of my company, Matrix Group International, is to help associations and nonprofits increase membership, generate revenue, and thrive in the digital space. I want to hear stories of how your organization is thriving in today's challenging landscape. Please apply to be on my show by going to podcast.matrixgroup.net. By the way, do you need help with a digital initiative? Maybe it's a website redesign, a new membership database, or a hybrid meeting that you're planning. I'd love to connect with you. Please visit the Matrix Group website at matrixgroup.net. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of Associations Thrive. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, post a comment, and share it with your colleagues and friends.